We want to spread our message far and wide, but where should we do it? There are so many platforms, and every year adds new platforms. Or maybe you're streaming everywhere you can think, and you're just not picking up an audience. Well, just because the gospel wants to be everywhere and we want it to be everywhere does not mean that we have the resources to do it well. Today, we're talking about what the different church live streaming platforms and the social media live stream platforms can do for you, how to be on them properly, and make an impression that will get people to engage, become aware of your church, and hopefully connect with your church. My name is Justin Nava. I'm part of Church Media Guys. We are part of Church Training Academy, which helps churches use and exploit technology to further their message, further the gospel. With me is the founder and my partner, the man that I could not live or do much of this with, Dave Curley. Dave, how are you today, sir?
Well, I'm good. I hope everyone is doing good. By the way, everybody, if you want to learn how to leverage media and amplify the gospel and change lives, which is what our mission is here at the Church Media Guys, then you can start now by clicking the subscribe button, ringing the bell here on YouTube so that you don't miss a thing.
Yes.
Justin, we're going to be hitting it hard on platforms today.
That's right, because every platform is kind of like a different language, and you can have a bilingual church, maybe even a trilingual church, but it's real hard to be a church for everyone without immense resources behind it. You know, a multi-language ministry, those do exist, but they require lots of manpower, lots of labor intensiveness, and the same thing kind of translates to social media platforms. Each one of them has pros and cons, abilities and disabilities, things you can do, things you can't do, things you can do, but things you should not do. And that's kind of what we're talking about. Each platform has its own voice, its own audience, its own method communicating. So if you broadcast the wrong content on any platform, you're going to end up setting yourself up for failure, or at least, or at the very best, you're setting yourself up for a very difficult journey. So we're talking about making it easy for yourself, and just share some insight on how to broadcast the right way on the right platform to the right people. We are live streaming on several platforms here using Restream in combination with Ecamm Live. Ecamm is my favorite live streaming stuff, but if you want to try it for yourself, it's Mac only. If you've got a Mac and you're tired of trying to figure out OBS like I was, or you got Wirecast and you're like, this is just way too much, go to Ecamm, getecamm.com. Dave, I'm picking up an echo here.
Okay, I was wondering, some folks said that my audio sounded weird.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I can do all the talking. They're here for me anyways, Dave. Go to getecamm.com, get your 14-day trial, and you can explore the same software that we're using to do overlays and titles and all the good stuff on the fly. So I want to talk about something real quick, and that is the biggest question, I think, when it comes to deciding your platform. We had someone, we're not going to go into detail, but we had someone in our Media Hacks group that the post has been, they deleted the post, so you can't go find it, but they were trying to make YouTube work not like YouTube. And we were telling them, you know, hey, this isn't really how the platform works. We understand what you're trying to do. YouTube is not the platform to do it. In fact, to achieve your goal with YouTube, you're going about it the whole wrong way. So the biggest question that you have to ask when you are looking at what platform to live stream, or perhaps you're live streaming to a platform and you say, well, is this other one going to work for me? The biggest question you have to ask first off is, where is your audience? In my last church, First Baptist Edinburgh, I came on and we were live streaming to YouTube, and every week we'd get 3 or 4 live streamers. People knew how to find us. They needed to go to the website and click the link to live stream. We got some live stream people. When I started talking to people on in the church, and then I started looking at our Facebook analytics, I realized we had a lot more people following us and engaging with us on Facebook. So instead of multicasting, we actually shut down. We didn't shut down, but we stopped streaming to YouTube and we went over to Facebook. And when we started going to Facebook Live, without even trying, guys, we tripled our numbers and we just grew from there. We went from 4 to 7 to 10 instantly with some work and engagement work, which we'll talk about throughout, the coming months with Ecamm here. We grew it from 10 to 20 to 40 reliably. And I think on Easter we had like over 1,000, which is like for a church of 150 during a pandemic. I think that was pretty cool. So it's not just about what you want to do or what you think is best. It really is where your audience is. You cannot force it. You have to go with the flow. I love YouTube. I'm not on Facebook a lot. If I am on Facebook, it's basically for business, right? So when I want to stream, I want to stream on YouTube. My churches they are more active, more engaged on Facebook than they are on YouTube. So our church live streams, despite my personal preference, we stream to Facebook. So it's all about the. Does that make sense, Dave? Can't hear you now. I think you muted yourself or something. Nope, still nothing. I think you broke something, Dave.
Is this better?
There we go. Now we got you.
There we go. Just checking. Earlier this week I made some sound adjustments and stuff, so things are not labeled like they were, and so what's labeled what used to be is now not, and so anyway, but you guys can hear me? My sound's better, I hope? Good. Okay, we'll take it as gospel.
Okay.
Yes. The core principle, it initially, when you're going to be live streaming, is going to be, where are my people? And the reality is, like, the vast majority of the people in a given church are going to be on Facebook. That's where we go. That's where we connect with people. That's where our family, plans the family reunion. We set up a family group. We do all this sort of stuff. We join groups. Facebook is just a part of our daily lives now. I mean, tell me in the chat if you use Facebook Messenger, not musical, Facebook Messenger as one of your primary means of communication. Just type in Messenger in the chat and let me know. Because most people I know, Messenger is synonymous with text as far as they're concerned. So everybody's on Facebook. So it makes sense that that is the place that you want to launch first, and then go from there to develop audiences on other platforms as you can.
Yeah, 100%. So, it's kind of like, hey, I live in this neighborhood. I'm going to build a church, and I'm going to build it in my backyard because that's where I want it to be. And that's a great way to start. But eventually you got to start looking at the demographics, who you want to reach, who you're equipped to reach, the kind of people that you want to reach to, because oftentimes, especially for a lot of church planners, they don't live initially. Maybe they move into the area, but they may not live exactly where they want to start a church or with the group of people that they want to serve. So, you look at what best serves your audience and what you want to do. And this is kind of what we're talking about. So we're going to break down the different platforms and what streaming to each of them looks like. I want to start off, and Dave, you and I actually have a little bit of a disagreement on this, at least at the start. And what I want to make sure that we're aware of, and a Facebook user absolutely mentioned this as well. I want to make sure that you don't spread yourself too thin. You want to be not only present, but you also want to be engaging on each platform. It's not enough just to go to the corner with a bullhorn and start preaching the message, and then someone says, hey, I have a question about that, or hey, what are you talking about? And then you just turn the bullhorn at them and just yell at them more without actually engaging into a conversation with them that you can actually present more than just a bullhorn message. And the same thing is true on Facebook or any platform we're going to talk about, YouTube Live, Instagram Live, Twitter Live, Periscope, Twitch, TikTok, all those good stuff. It's not enough just to be present. You have to be actually engaging. We always say in the churches that I've been a part that we don't want the pastor to just show up at 11, preach, and then leave at 12. Like, there needs to be some time for him to engage with the congregation and be present and be aware and have conversations. And so if you're just going to broadcast and not monitor what's going on these streams, you're spreading the message, but are you really engaging with people to engage with your church, or are you just becoming another sermon for someone to consume? Make sense?
So, yeah, no, it does. It does. And I will reiterate, or I will agree with what you said. We talked about we differ on that. It's because you're wrong. And there's no two ways about it. I do agree with you with the one caveat. I think that YouTube should be a part of your live streaming from the beginning. And the reason I say that is twofold. Number one, YouTube is a search engine. And so people being able to to come across your content is always a good thing. You're not going to go to Facebook and type in there, how do I how do I how do I guarantee a spot in heaven? But you can do that on YouTube. So that's one caveat. The other caveat is that Facebook is free, and excuse me, YouTube is free, and it's extremely high quality, which means that you don't have to go to a third party to set up your church's live streaming. You don't have to go pay $150 a month or $100 a month or what have you to get your stream, get your video live stream on your church's website. You don't have to do that. You go to the live stream page on your Facebook, and there's someone spamming me on my phone. You go to the YouTube page, the live page, and you grab the embed code and you embed it in a page on your website called Live. That's what I do. And then anybody can go to mygreatchurch.com/live and see what's going on Sunday morning. It makes it really easy, and it is like the lowest common denominator. So you don't necessarily have to try to immediately engage and build community on there. Just you can take advantage of the fact that it doesn't cost anything, and it's very high quality. And with a little tweaking, you can make sure that the ads don't pop up and it doesn't show the person's recommended next video or something. If they were watching gaming stuff, that a little thing that pops up that says hey, watch this Fortnite video or something like that. You can customize some of that. So those are the
Absolutely.
two caveats.
So let's break down each platform now. We're going to spend about 30 minutes on this. We got plenty of time to go over each platform. We won't hit everything, every single detail, but we're going to give you an overview of what the different platforms are. And of course, I want to start with where a lot of people are. It's crazy statistic, basically pretty much of the world and probably a lot of your audience is Facebook Live. Again, it doesn't matter what your opinion is on Facebook. You have people on Facebook that need or want to hear the message, and we understand that you want to get your message on Facebook. So when it comes to Facebook, as far as your traditional live church service, if you have a camera planted, of course, following best practices, zooming in on the pastor, good quality audio, you'll get lots of people tuning in for a few seconds. You'll be discovered on Facebook. You can get people sharing your video, which is just basically virtual word of mouth. You'll get a lot of it. You'll get a lot of people aware of your live stream, but you'll find that long form videos, being 20-minute, 30-minute sermons or 45-minute, hour-long services, your engagement on these long form videos are going to be lower than probably what you want. And the reason for that is Facebook is a very engaging platform, but it's not something you go to watch an hour-long anything. When was the last time you said, man, I got an hour? Say Netflix, YouTube, TikTok. You know what? I'm going to go to Facebook and watch something for an hour. I mean, it doesn't happen that way. If you spend an hour on Facebook, it's because you watched a 15-second video of a guy hitting a home run, and then you keep scrolling to see more baseball clips, followed by a clip that someone shared, followed by an ad. That's how you accidentally spend an hour on Facebook watching videos. But I don't know anyone that specifically goes to Facebook and says, let me find an hour-long video. If you do have an engaged audience on Facebook, and obviously they know they're not going to be at service and they want to participate digitally or remotely in the church service, you will get those people watching your live stream. And I almost call those your ambassadors. They're the ones that are going to be watching. You'll have 7, 10, maybe 20 people watching and actually intentionally watching. But Facebook video across all forms, canned and live, it's more of a discoverability platform. And so it's a great way to start because, again, it's free. The people are there. It's basically like the mall in your town or across the street. If you're in a big town, you got several malls for me. It's basically the mall saying, hey, we've got an open kitchen. It's free for you to use. All you got to do is bring your own food, and then you can start feeding people. Like, how great would that be if the mall just said, hey, church, just bring some food and we'll bring the people to you because they're already here. That's basically what Facebook is. So it's fine to start live streaming. Just be aware that your engagement's going to be pretty low outside of the people that are already connected, your church ambassadors. And even when they share it, that's great. But is their sharing going to make any impact? Because they're sharing something, and again, no one is scrolling through Facebook. Oh, let me sit here for another 20 minutes, 30 minutes into this service. It just doesn't happen that way. That's not how Facebook is consumed. So you'll hear us say this with a lot of platforms. If you want to be successful on Facebook Live, number one, you can go watch the first episode of Stream Your Church. We talk about the quick hits versus the church service videos. If you're going to go live, either with Ecamm at your computer or just live from your phone, there's a couple ways that you can find more success with Facebook. You can take your long form sermon or even your hour-long service, I recommend, and trim it down to just the sermon. But then also take your 20, 30-minute sermon and clip that. I love how a Facebook user, because I can't see your names because of the Restream chat, but says cut down your sermon to TED Talk clips with a clear title, and you'll see the benefits on YouTube, but also on Facebook. Because I will sit there and watch a 90-second video on Facebook and get basically as much out of it to where I'm piqued, I'm aware, I'm curious. I might go watch the rest of that sermon versus trying to find that piece of gold inside of 30 minutes of digging. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense, Dave?
So, no, that makes total sense. And everything you're saying makes sense. A reality that I have seen is that in a church with in an older congregation, the people that are on Facebook, you will get, and we're seeing this at our church. We're seeing more numbers during the live broadcast on Facebook than we are on YouTube, because everyone in our church is engaged on Facebook, and that is one of those things that you'll see the numbers like when you're live, but they may not grow like they would on YouTube after the fact. It's kind of, it's like you get more views over time with, say, a sermon or a worship service on YouTube than you might on Facebook, because right. Facebook is going to recommend when someone is live, like when your church is live, your Facebook page goes live, or you go live in the group or both. At your church, people are going to get a notification. They're going to go in there. Some of them are going to say hi. At our church, and I don't know why, but everybody feels the need to, instead of saying hi, good morning, everybody, they like to leave a comment. So my name's Dave Curley. So the comment would be, you'd see my name, Dave Curley, and then it would say, Dave Curley is here. Like I'm going, hey, Dave Curley is here. And that's what I'm saying. So we see a whole lot of Dave Curley is here. Justin Nava says hi, all this sort of stuff. And it's, people thinking about themselves, and we have to help them understand how to engage a little bit better.
Right.
Regardless, they are.
And
that's where we talk about having. Do what?
I was going to say, you just started breaking up a little bit. So I was going to agree with what you had going on. Dave, can you hear me?
Oh,
now?
okay.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're just having internet issues today. We'll have to look into that. Maybe Christopher, who is our inside man, can give us some advice. So a lot of the chat is echoing what you were saying, Dave. Facebook is great with discoverability in the moment around the same time frame. Not a lot of people are, again, you have to think about how people are using it. It's great to say, oh yeah, last week's sermon was on Facebook, but 6 days ago, and Facebook time is a long time ago. It's very hard to go find older videos on Facebook. And especially when I'm like, oh yeah, I saw a video about that, my wife, and I'll try to find the video and I say, that's it, I'm done, I can't find it. Let's move on to YouTube, because YouTube really kind of has a lot of the same strengths as Facebook, along with the archival strengths of being YouTube. The difference is that your audience might not just be on YouTube as much. So let's talk about the benefits of YouTube. First of all, biggest thing, searchable.
It is searchable, and there's an app. So that means that they can go straight to the YouTube app, and they can click on your live and see it right there, big on their phone, or they can go and install like the Roku app, and there it is. They can just go and watch it on a 70-inch 4K screen at home. You can't do that with Facebook. Their Watch app is available sometimes on some platforms.
Yeah, I actually have the Facebook app on my Apple TV because there's a gamer I like to watch in the background while I work, and it's hard to find her. Like I know she's there. I know she's live. I got the notification, and when I bring up the Facebook application on my Apple TV, it's kind of hard to find her. Versus if I go to YouTube, the lives pop up pretty consistently automatically. But then I also know I can just go to the channel or just search for it real quick and not have to sift through a bunch of Facebook stuff as well. So you have the searchability of it, easy to discover. But then also, if you just put a little bit of work into what's called optimization, meaning you choose a title, you choose a description with keywords, which is basically just words people use to search with, then your sermon can be found. If you ever, again, as pastors, as preachers, even as media people, we have to put ourselves in our users' shoes and understand that as a pastor, when I preach on, let's say, marriage, the sermon title might be God's Plan for Marriage, and the sermon series might be Love Always. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. How many people are searching God's Plan for Marriage? It's pretty low. But if you search what does the Bible say about divorce, that has a very high search volume. And so, yeah, your sermon title is God's Plan for Marriage. It's a fine sermon title when you have a captured audience that's going to hear that. But more people are searching for what does the Bible say about divorce, or what did Jesus say about divorce, or any of that other stuff. And so you have to think about what are people searching for, and how can I put those terms, keywords, in our title, and boom, you're going to see a lot more videos get watched. And you can do this retroactively. Go back to your previous sermons and change January 21st to what does God say about divorce, or what does God say about premarital sex, whatever. These are things people are searching for. If you search all volumes, people don't have a filter. You might upset some of your church people, but you're going to get your message, the gospel, what God's plan is, into more hands when you use that little bit of optimization. And again, that could be another topic for another show. Don't want you to feel like I'm yelling at you. I'm going a little Dave here, but it's so little work to get so much return. It's just low hanging fruit. We just have to be willing to get up and spend 5 minutes doing it, and maybe spend 30 minutes how to do it. But huge returns. Did I miss anything on that topic, Dave?
No. Well, to complement that, there's two things, and everybody write this down because I'll say it all day, every day. This is very important. People are scrolling around on their phones, right? We're all sitting there doing this, and we're scrolling and we're seeing something. What is it that makes you stop scrolling and pay attention to what it is? Something grabs your attention, right? You don't sit there and think, I'm going to look for this one specific thing and I'm going to scroll until I see it. There are times that you do that, but the average person sitting down, going through Facebook, going through YouTube, they're just sitting there scrolling to see if anything catches their attention, okay? What is catching your attention is something visual. It's not going to be a catchy title. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be sitting there reading every single title. You're looking at images, which means your thumbnail has got to grab people's attention. The thumbnail, those of you that got our email this morning, the picture in there, the thumbnail, when you come back to our channel later, the thumbnail, I've got the different logos for the platforms.
I'm gonna put that up on stream here.
Yeah, I've got a dark green background, and then I'm in black and white. Okay, it's different. It looks different. It's something that to stand out amongst everybody else. So if you are doing a, let's say we were talking about the marriage sermon. If you're doing the marriage sermon, and it's something that is whatever the title was that you said that was kind of a catchy, people in the pews understand it kind of title. You may want to title it on YouTube, God hates divorce, or does asking the question, what does the Bible say about divorce, or something like that.
Christian divorce, something like that.
Huh?
Christian divorce, or parents divorce.
Something like that. But then your thumbnail, this may be a biblical marriage series that's going on, and your pastor has made, this wonderful, you may be the one that has made this wonderful sermon bumper and a graphics package to go with it and stuff. So everything's all nice and cohesive, and it's got some church branding on it. It looks wonderful and stuff. I will tell you, YouTube doesn't give two wits about that. The people on YouTube don't give two wits about your church branding. They don't give any. They could care less about this being a part of a series or anything like that. That is not going to, wonderful, beautiful text is not going to stop someone from scrolling. But if you go and find a picture of two pretty people that are facing each other and yelling and screaming at each other, and it looks like there's a big fight happening between this husband and wife, maybe even a child, sitting back there crying or something really captivating like that, and you make this picture be your thumbnail, and then you've got a title that supports that thumbnail, now you're going to catch my attention, because I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing all sorts of stuff, and then I see two pretty people yelling and screaming and a child crying. Whoa, what is this? Christian divorce. What? I'm going to click on it. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. That's another way we can optimize our videos. And again, I think we need to spend a whole month, Dave, on just YouTube optimization. I think our people would really like that. I'm going to try to put this comment on the stream here. Perfect. It looks great. Robert, our friend Robert Phipps, said we have quite a few people watch on their TVs from YouTube. We put instructions up on how to get on your TV, and it was a very popular post. So
absolutely,
make it simple, make it easy. We love it. Let's talk about YouTube audience. YouTube is going to skew more male and more younger, more male and younger. So, if you're an older congregation, they're not completely hooked into YouTube, and the way that they navigate it and the way that they interact with the stream, they might be a little bit intimidated. But if you're a younger church, you're reaching families in their 30s and below, or a more tech savvy church in California or Central Texas, then this could absolutely be a place where you can engage and converse with those people, because they're already used to it. This is the shopping mall that they are already frequenting, and you're just making an appearance. And of course, YouTube has great long form content. I go frequently on YouTube and watch hour-long TED Talks, conferences, trainings, seminars, little fly on the wall, whatever's, for an hour while I do dishes, while I do laundry. I do that frequently. But you cannot
neglect.
neglect.
Popular shows.
Go ahead.
One of the most popular shows on YouTube is a 3 to 4 hour show by Joe Rogan. It's the Joe Rogan podcast or whatever it is. It's hours and hours of just conversation, and it's ridiculously popular. So long form content on YouTube works really well.
It's really well, but also the quick hits. You're talking about God's plan for marriage. You clip the 5 minutes where you talk about what the Bible says about divorce, put that as a separate video, or whatever the keyword that's popular. You get a lot more out of that little clip than the long form video. We do a weekly show with the church media guys, and we do maybe 2 or 3, sometimes 4 short 5 to 10 minute pro tips on our channel. And those pro tips do 10x, I think, than our long form show, because people want that quick hit. They want that answer. So don't neglect the short clips. Dave, anything else before I know we spent about half our time on Facebook and YouTube, but that's your biggest chunk of audience. That's your easiest, quickest win, because that's where a lot of people already are.
Yeah, that's where it is. And just to reiterate the long form content that people watch, yesterday, August 4th, episode number 1519 of the Joe Rogan Experience already has 1.2 million views. So, that he's really big in pop culture, okay? But to prove the point that long-form content, our buddy Nick Nimmin, does a 3 to 4 hour live stream on Friday nights from his home in the Philippines. Long-form content actually works. So you can have a whole lot more success. And yeah, these two are the primary ones. And I always tell people, I'll go back to what I said earlier. A lot of people, say, oh, hey, should I go with Bill and Ted's excellent, wonderful church streaming service company and do all that sort of stuff? Yeah, you can do that if you want to, but the reality is you can still have a good experience by taking the YouTube embed and putting it on your website, and actually get two things: get views on your YouTube channel and get its juice going a little bit more, so that over time more people will be shown the content on YouTube, and you can grow that channel and increase your influence there. And for me, doing that as cleanly and nicely as possible is a whole lot more important than having this, this this WeStream your church service company that is going to be put on my website and it's going to get 2 views.
Yeah, we're gonna hit
getting
website specifically. That'll be the last thing we kind of hit. But yeah,
right.
again,
But
we
those
could do
are
a whole
platforms
show on each
we
one
get
of
asked
these.
a lot about.
Yeah, let's talk about, because we see a lot of, especially youth pastors, we see a lot of them talk about Instagram Live or IGTV.
Yeah.
Dave, are you like me and you spend all day on IGTV? If yeah,
No, the only time I ever really hit IGTV is when somebody's video that they have put on Instagram says continue watching on IGTV because it's over a minute long, which,
yeah,
by the way, is brilliant that it does that. That you can put longer form up there, 2, 3, 5 minutes or something. But I don't go trolling IGTV looking for content.
yeah.
Um,
It's
putting
funny actually. I've talked to several people about this when they say, "Oh yeah, I saw this video on Instagram and it says watch more on IGTV," and you're like, they got me. I gotta go.
yeah.
What? When was that acceptable for someone to say, "Oh man, they got me," and like you feel like you're forced to go somewhere, versus, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool." I don't know. I feel like IGTV just is kind of there, and it's kind of an
Yeah.
obligatory watch. Whereas I don't know a lot of people, aside from people that already have an engaged audience elsewhere, coming over to watch IGTV.
One of the things that it looks like it has happened, and it's actually pretty smart. Instagram, and this will kind of dovetail, by the way, into the question that we're starting to see more and more frequently about live streaming to Instagram. Doing Instagram Live, your church services and stuff. One of the things that seems to be Instagram is a beautiful platform. It's very picture oriented or video clip oriented. It's just a scrolling experience. And then you pick something to interact with, and then you keep scrolling. It is a nice platform when you are standing in line at the DMV to be going through. Okay, it's a nice there's a train, so I've got a minute and a half, so I'll just kind of scroll through Instagram. With the 1 minute time limit that they have, that then will launch you into IGTV if you go over that. There's a lot of content that I would, if it's
This
a
is
3
just
minute
to clarify. This is the uploaded videos. This is not
uploaded
Instagram
videos,
Live. Yeah.
right? No. This is uploaded videos, so we're talking the platform in general. Um, there's plenty of things that I follow Sean Cannell. We've interviewed him on our YouTube channel. If there's a 5 minute clip that Sean does, and I'm fine with watching a 5 minute clip, and I'll click on it and watch it on Instagram TV, and then maybe another one of his shows up or something, and I spend 10 minutes there, and then I move on. But if I need to sit here inside Instagram and watch a 5 minute video instead of scrolling on, it could mess up maybe the algorithm. It could mess up various things. I'm not seeing the new content or something because I'm stuck in here. So it kind of gets you off of their primary platform and into a secondary platform, which I think is pretty cool. And if it's less than a minute, then it keeps you in that prime.
Let's back up here because we're getting deep into Instagram. I want to keep it on
Yes.
Instagram Live. So live is a totally different animal. Okay, live is just I'm going live, and you appear up at the top in the stories. All your live videos show up first in stories, and you can just click on it and start watching it. There's a lot of people in the hacks that are asking, how can we go live to Instagram via OBS? And then when you go live on Instagram, you can save it as a story for 24 hours, or you can archive it over to IGTV, which you can then, I think you can promote that in your Instagram feed, and we get into all the other stuff. So the way we do church services, go ahead.
Well, what I was saying is that because of the way that Instagram is set up for this 1 minute video or jumping out into Instagram TV for something that's a little bit longer, that is what Facebook, who owns Instagram, that is what Facebook wants you to do on that platform. They want shorter form content to be on Instagram TV or little stuff and lots of images on Instagram. That's what they've designed that platform for. So it's serving it's serving its purpose. It's doing real good. If you want to go live on Instagram, because Instagram is a mobile first platform, just go to your Instagram account on your browser and try to upload a video or a photo. You can't. You have to get some extension over here and jump through a few hoops on your desktop to make that happen. You can't do that. It is a mobile first platform. You have to keep in mind that people on their phones, whether they have unlimited data or not, they are using their phone data to do that. So when you are streaming something to to Instagram Live from your phone, it's using that phone data. It's going up there, and those people are consuming it basically at whatever you're uploading it at. Okay, it doesn't do a lot of bandwidth throttling and stuff like that. It's not designed for doing that, which means it's not going to start off kind of splotchy and glotchy and then all of a sudden get good. Okay, it's going to stream a nice 2 megabit file or 5 megabit file or whatever it is. You can technically, there are services that will let you do this, that will let you go live from OBS or Ecamm or vMix or whatever you're using and stream it up to Instagram Live. The problem is in their terms of service, they don't want you doing that. That's what Facebook Live is for the longer form content, for the ability to throttle the bandwidth. It gets kind of junky and stuff like that. You are hurting people when you use the Instagram platform for what it's not designed to be used for. So for me, it's off the table. We're going to use it the way they want us to use it and get the benefits of using it that way. And then we're going to use their other tool, Facebook Live, for the way that it's designed to be used. Does that make sense?
100%. And pretty much anytime you've got a vertical video, and you'll hear this now on the next ones we're gonna go rapid fire through. Anytime you've got a smaller screen, the more personal the stream should be. So especially when you got vertical video, I know lots of people spending hours watching Instagram Lives, but it's a guy or a girl sitting in front of their phone, looking at it like this and just talking. Yeah. I mean, you and I go through here and you're like, this is the most boring thing. Who's going to sit here and just do an AMA for an hour every day? But people who have an audience and who know how to use it and interact and engage with that audience find a lot of success. And if you're just going to broadcast a church service where you don't have that engagement, that one-on-one talk, even though the pastor's preaching and reading the comments and answering, it's real tough, especially the longer they have to wait to get that engagement. So it's not too good for a live stream service, but if you already have an Instagram presence, I wouldn't create an Instagram just to go live on Instagram. You got to also be posting and engaging with other profiles and brands. Then it's better for quick hits. What does a pastor think? Maybe condense Sunday service down to 5 minutes and go live for 5 minutes after church service. Longer lives get archived to IGTV, but again, and you're going to be getting the same audience. There's not going to be a whole lot of discoverability there. I think you're better going deeper in YouTube for that, or Facebook. Twitter Live and Periscope. Periscope came first. Twitter Live just added it. Twitter's a hard beast for churches, and we can't get too much into it right now, but Twitter is great for individuals and for large brands. But if you're a local business, even your best local business in town, it's going to have a really hard time unless they have a national message. And so Twitter already, for most churches, I don't agree you should be on there. I absolutely agree the pastor should be on there, engaging, talking, communicating. And so if you're going to stream your church service on Twitter, again, you have to be there a lot. And like Leo in the chat said, Twitter, the con is you're going to have a lot of trolls. You're going to have a lot of people looking there because that's where they trolls hang out. And honestly, I just don't see how Periscope is going to continue, especially as Twitter started their own live service, which originally Periscope, connected into Twitter seamlessly. But I don't know about the future of Twitter.
Yeah. I'm surprised Periscope is still around.
Yeah, me too. Let's spend a few minutes on Twitch here. Twitch, man. It's one of these things where churches have the most pure of intentions, the most greatest intentions. But Twitch is a very different environment. It's a really different beast. It's kind of like, I imagine, like you got you got your missionary in the white shirt and the black tie, and you've got your leather Bible, and you're like, I'm gonna go preach to people in downtown Baltimore. You're gonna have a harder time connecting with people in areas that are very different from you, even though your intentions are great and you can share a message. We can do anything with God in spite of whatever. But you're going to have a harder time connecting because Twitch is a very different environment. It relies heavily on engagement and chat moderation. So much so that Twitch creators, Twitch live streamers, they have not only multiple moderators, but they actually script commands, chat commands, and responses and graphics that pop up and ping and pow and get your attention. They do a lot of that while they still only have 10 or 20 followers, because they know if they get the engagement down, if they get the attention down, even some of the pattern interrupts down from those graphics and scripts, they can then build a larger audience from that. It's a very young audience. So again, a traditional church service is going to be really hard to run on Twitch. There are some church services on Twitch that are doing really good. Look up God Squad Church. But they are a Twitch specific church service, and they do it very well, and they are very good about communicating and connecting with the people throughout the week and using Discord and all that. We've got an interview with Pastor Susie on our YouTube channel you can go find if you're really interested in using Twitch as a platform for your church. So you're going to have to be really intentional, and the best services I see on Twitch is the only place that they are streaming because it requires so much attention and so many labor resources. I like watching Twitch in the background. Dave, do you have any thoughts on Twitch?
Like you said, it is, you have to think about these different platforms by the audience that is there, and there are plenty of analogs to that in real life. If you it would be like if you're a pastor and you want to go share the gospel. You don't grab your Bible, put on your collar, and hit a biker bar, and walk in and go, all you sinners, you're going to be burning in hell, and all this. I mean, you don't do that at a biker bar.
Some can, but that does not mean that everyone can.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the wisest of things to do. You don't walk into a village that hasn't been touched by, at the outside world for 100 years, and walk in there with your phone and with cameras and all this kind of stuff, and start trying to preach the gospel there. You go and interact with the culture at their level. You go and it's kind of like what Paul said. Paul said, I become all things to all people. He grabbed Timothy. And Timothy was uncircumcised, and they were going to go to and take the gospel to Jewish people. And so the first thing they did was, let's remove any reason why they wouldn't take us seriously. Timothy, got to get you circumcised. So an adult gets circumcised so that, because he was Jewish, and the people, hey, listen, I'm like you. Okay, well, we'll take you seriously now. And then any obstacles were pulled out of their way culturally, including, didn't eat pork, didn't, they only ate fish, whatever the culture demanded, so that they could be heard. That's the same thing with Twitch. That's the same thing with some YouTube audiences. That's the same thing with Twitter. That's the same thing with various audiences on Facebook and stuff. You need to interact with them and speak the language. It's like with TikTok. If you're going to interact on TikTok, you need to watch and what's going on TikTok and see how people are. You don't go in and try to do something completely different. See what people are doing, see how people are talking, what they're talking about and stuff, and then engage in those conversations. You wouldn't walk up at a cocktail party where they're talking about they're talking about their investments, and you walk up and go, "Hey, did you see the Big Bang Theory last night?" No, you'd walk up there and listen while they're talking about their investments and stuff, and maybe ask a question pertaining to that, and get in the door that way. And it's the same thing with Twitch. You don't just broadcast your church service on Twitch you'll get a view. That's
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, and
But
then
like
and then you
Christopher,
can blame the platform because you did it
yeah,
wrong. So,
yeah, you're
um,
doing it wrong.
yeah, I like that you.
Christopher, our buddy,
Yes,
is
go ahead.
gaming. His pastor is gaming. They've got people at their church that are gaming and starting a gaming channel and interacting with people and starting to build relationships, just like our favorite example, Pastor Susie, did. Started building relationships and realizing this is a place I can minister. So now let's start growing that.
100%. And you mentioned TikTok. You know, TikTok is pretty much the same rules as Instagram Live. It's going to be personal. People don't go to TikTok for long videos. You literally can't right now because it's 60 minutes, but you can do live streams again to connect beyond those longer videos. So TikTok, I'm going to tell you right now, don't stream your church service on TikTok. If you're going to do TikTok, do first you got to build an audience, right? People are probably not going to engage with you if they've never heard of you on TikTok. So just keep it on the back burner. Microsoft might buy it and things are going to go completely different. Dave,
They'll only
talk
do
to
that
us.
on phones.
Talk to us, and I know I don't know if you have a meeting to get to or studio to get to, but talk to us a little bit about streaming to your website.
So streaming to your website, one of the most overriding principles that you and I teach is that all roads should be leading to your website, and the reason is because that's what you own. Okay, so remember that. Lock that in your head, folks. Justin and I have this online training academy, this business that we're running and everything, and we're using all these different platforms. We're building our church media hacks group. We're almost at 10,000 members on our church media hacks group. Awesome. By the way, go to churchmediahacks.com and answer a couple of questions and join us. We'd love to have you in there. But I have a friend that is he's really big in softball, like girls fast pitch softball and stuff, and he had quite a few Facebook groups that were very specific in the softball and the female sports niche and stuff. And he had one group that had like 25 or 30,000 people. Facebook just decided one day, no, we're going to close this down. He lost his audience. So we don't own YouTube. We don't own our Facebook page. We don't own our Facebook groups. We don't own our Facebook profile. We are Facebook's customer. That's why all this is free. We are the commodity that Facebook sells. Okay. So they make the rules. And if they all of a sudden decide we're not going to have churches on our platform, okay, they go away and now you have nothing no one to talk to or anything, but you own your website. You've got your own website hosted at, Bill and Ted's excellent hosting company. That is where everything can live on a much longer basis. So you need to be live streaming on your website. Now, you may, and older people in your church, this is our experience, older people in our church will more readily go to the church's website and click live to watch than, I'm not on Facebook. What's this YouTube thing? I don't have a smartphone. We have a lady in our church, doesn't have a smartphone, doesn't have Roku, doesn't have anything like that. She has a laptop. So Sunday mornings, she sits down, datesprings.com, and then she clicks on watch live and then watches the sermon live. That's how it happens. There are a lot of people out there that are doing that. So you need to have it in that place. Do you need to have a hosting service? Do you need to go pay for Vimeo Pro account? Do you need to go set up with their live streaming service and pay, $100 a month or whatever it is? Do you need to get a box cast? Do you need to do all these sort of things? No, you really don't. You can just embed the YouTube live stream and go crazy. I mean, it's great. And there are, like I said, there are some things that you can put in there in the embed, some options to make it a very simple player and a non-obtrusive player, no pop-up ads or anything like that. And most churches are not monetizing their content, so you can not monetize it and have like not ads play on it. So it's all okay. You can do that. And again, it's free. It's searchable because it's YouTube, and you can basically kill two birds with one stone. Get views for your YouTube channel on your website in an environment that you control. And there's other services out there, like what is it? The one that Life Church puts out? Do you remember the name?
Church online platform.
Yes, church online platform. They're not live streaming your stuff. What they have is they have an interface that you can go in and get everything kind of set up. But then they have a player that you can embed in your website, and that player can play YouTube or from whatever other hosts and stuff. That is a cleaner way to present that content. So you can take a look at that. But no, you do not have to go and set up with Daycast or church streaming, service.com or whatever it is. You've got these two free platforms. Utilize them, and make sure that everything's happening at your church's website in one way or the other.
Absolutely. And, it's really easy. Some people might be searching, do a local search for a church nearby. They find your church. They see that service is going to start at this time. Instead of finding you on Facebook or YouTube, they might just go right back to your church page. So, oh, yeah, that's Second Baptist. They're going to stream this morning. So they'll go to your page. So it's good to have a place on your page that anyone can find, very easily, readily available. And if you set it up properly, instead of just, hey, here's just a stream of whatever's live, if you actually set up an archive, which is easy to do, just to start in whatever blog platform your website has, Squarespace, Wix, WordPress, whatever the blog platform, if you optimize it with a correct title description, then you can appear in your local or national search results. So again, that's another way that you don't have to rely on YouTube. You don't have to rely on Facebook. You can maintain some modicum of control, even if you are streaming with YouTube. You can retain some kind of control. And instead of saying, hey, Pastor, have you ever done a sermon series on whatever, baptism, and you say, oh yeah, go to YouTube, and guess what? They're watching some church or some organization talking about baptism instead of your video, and they might get the wrong or incorrect idea. So it's very good to have your own website and say, oh yeah, go look on our website because it's there, and then you can search baptism, and it's archived on your website, and there's no distractions.
So before we close, we've got one question. It's a very good question. It's pertaining to YouTube. Shane asks, on YouTube, do you click the Made for Children option since it's family friendly? Let me explain that. Well, I'm going to do a video about that on our channel, but here's the deal. It is the intent of the content, okay? So if you have made this content for children, then you need to mark it as made for children. If you have made this content for a general audience, and kids might see it, it is not made for children. Literally, the words, is this content made for children? No, it's not. Is your church service made for children? No, your pastor did not sit down to write his sermon and go, 5-year-olds need to see this. He made it for a general audience, okay? So, does it have a children's sermon in it? Some churches still have the children's pastor come down and sit on the steps at the pulpit, bring in the kids, and read them a 2-minute, Bible story. Is that live stream made for children? No. Will kids get something out of it? Sure. Okay. On the other side, if you put up a comedy channel that is full of swearing and all this sort of stuff, is it made for children? No. It's not made for children. That's on the extreme. Is it made for an audience over 18? Yes, it's made for an audience over 18. So you check that thing. So just keep that in mind, okay? If you are creating, if Christopher sits down and reads a Bible story to 5-year-olds and he's dressed up like a clown, and this is what he's doing for his YouTube channel, he is making content for children, okay? If he's dressed up like a clown and he's talking to a room full of adults and he's talking to them about how to become a clown or something, is this content made for children? No, it's made for a general audience. So just keep that in mind. So to answer your question,
made for children does not
market as made for children.
Yeah, made for children is not the same as safe for children, right? It is.
Right.
Is it a child's toy or is it a shovel? My daughter can play with a box. She can play with a shovel, but it's not made for her to play with. It's not a kid's toy, so it's not a kid's video specifically aimed for kids. There's a lot more that we can go to in each of these platforms. We wanted to give you an overview of what the different platforms are, the audiences, and the do's and don'ts for those platforms. There's much more to discuss, and you can find us here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central, 12 Eastern. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock Pacific. If you want to see more from us, click the subscribe button. If you subscribe to eCam's channel, you'll get a whole bunch of stuff about live streaming. But if you want church stuff specifically, find us on churchtrainingacademy.com or go to YouTube, look us up, the Church Media Guys. And if you want to go even deeper, because we can only scratch the surface, and I know sometimes it's real annoying waiting for someone to hit that topic or hope that they answer your question, we have a platform called CTA Insiders, where we will actually work with you in a group environment, in a private Facebook page, in a private group coaching 4 times a month. You can go check it out there at churchtrainingacademy.com/join. I think we covered a lot of high level stuff, and there's more to get into. So we look forward to covering more of this at a later time. Subscribe, like, follow, and as always, take everything you've learned and go change lives.